Welcome to the Week 7 2023 Patch Week Challenge. This is patch number 7. This week, we'd like to call this one Full Control, O-Control in Full Control, because our O-Control is controlling this really complex patch. But this is actually not a really complex patch. This is 4 relatively simple patches in a trench coat, pretending to be one very complex patch. So we'll just go patch by patch, bit by bit, till you understand what's going on here. Okay, so our first patch, our first voice, I should say, is coming from the Klaus twin waves. The way the light is here, we're getting some interesting strobing. That you probably can't quite see, but that is a sawtooth wave. That sawtooth wave feeds the SEM filter. Okay. The filter goes to the Talon VCA. And then this voice goes to the Mimiphone and then out to the mixer here. Let's see the mixer. Okay. And in terms of audio, that's it for that voice. It's relatively simple. It's getting its pitch from the O control, from the pitch channel of the O control, these knobs right here. Those get quantized by this side here with the ornament in crime. And then the pitch goes to, obviously, to the twin waves here. Not modulating the sawtooth on this at all, actually, because I don't want to change the wave shape. I want it to be a full-on saw the whole time. The filter will change the wave shape, I guess is what I'm saying. The second voice is this drum voice here in green. Oh, I'm sorry, the envelopes. I should talk about the envelopes real briefly. So the O control has what it calls a dynamic envelope out, and that's basically kind of a simple attack release with a sustain phase if you make the setting long enough. Envelope that just outputs when it outputs a gate from the basically a step triggering. The gate itself is also dynamic. Okay, so I'm using the envelope side to control the VCA directly. Okay, so the envelope from for the VCA comes directly from the O control. It's the O control's envelope. Then we have the function, make noise function. It gets triggered by the dynamic gate, and that provides an envelope for our filter. Okay, that goes into CV1 of the SEM filter. Okay, and then it is in turn modulated. You can see I have this going into the both inputs, so that'll change both the attack and release times by, can't really see where this rat's nest goes, but hey, look at that. It goes to the slowest output of the sloths, the top slowest output of the sloths. So the middle one is the slowest. It goes fastest, medium, and then slowest in the middle. And I think they're called, oh god, torpor, apathy, and inertia. But I might have torpor and apathy mixed up. Might have them all mixed up. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Fastest, mediumest, slowest. So the slowest one is modulating this. And then I also have a different output from that. The top output of the fastest output, modulating the CV time of another envelope that we'll get to in a minute. Okay. That's the wrong color cable. I think I just ran out of colors. This is the problem with color coding your cables, is when you run out of a color, you just have to make do. Okay, second voice is our drum voice, and it is, so drum voice all runs off the clock here of the O control, beep, beep, and that goes into my little clocktopus here and goes out to all different kinds of places. One of the places it goes is to the Benjamin. And the only thing we're actually using the Benjamin for, this is not doing anything. It's plugged in, but it's not doing anything. The only thing we're using the Benjamin for in this case is generating some random gates with the more comp expander. Okay, and those gates are used to trigger this envelope. You can kind of see it going here, and which is set to a instant rise, relatively quick decay and release, and a very minimal sustain, to give a cymbal-like sound. I mean, obviously, a real cymbal wouldn't have any sustain, but you know, we're in synthesis land. We can do what we want. So 2 of those gates generate a pattern, a hi-hat pattern of sorts, that is created with white noise. The white noise comes from kinks. It goes into the this mixer, VCA mixer here. It's got it split out. See, so I'm wiggling it. That's where it goes in. And I have it split, so it goes into 2 channels. Those channels are controlled by these envelopes. Open and close, make the sound. And then the mix of that goes to this ping pong delay. Program C3 on the Disting Mark IV, ping pong delay. Okay, so you get a stereo ping pong out. And those go to the mixer. Ta-da! And that's it. Oh no, I'm sorry, that's a lie. I lied to you. Those go to the Templeggio. Ah, okay, that's the other part of our drum voice. I almost forgot the most important part, the clunk, the kick, the thoop, thoop, thoop. So these go into the Templeggio, and when you put something into the Templeggio's ends, it gets ducked by the drum that it makes when it's in these boots or cat mode. And I've got mine in cat mode. With the tang turned all the way up. Okay, so it's in cat, tang turned all the way up. And I'm modulating the whack with another sloth output. Looks like the middle, okay, so the slowest channel's bottom output. And I'm modulating the pitch with actually the touch output. So of this. So when I touch, it'll change the pitch. Okay. I always get a steady pitch. And it's actually, in the kick, it's kick, the thumpy drum. It's not exactly a kick. It's somewhere between a kick and a tom, probably. Is triggered by the clock. So every time there's a clock pulse, the drum goes. But because of the modulation from the wackitude and stuff, you can't, it doesn't always sound. Sometimes it's very quiet or whatever, and so you can't really tell. Yeah, so that, and that's the drum voice, and then that goes out. Then it goes to the mixer. Okay, so the cymbals, if you will, get sidechained, ducked by the kick, and then the mix of those goes out to the mixer. Okay, voice 3 is the purple voice. Purple voice. Phi is a panharmonium voice. First of all, let's get that out of the way. It takes a signal from the SEM's bandpass out into its input. Okay, as you can see, I actually don't have anything plugged into it. I'm just modulating it by hand as I play. And then its output is, and I could tell you what all the settings are. I mean, we can get a little photograph of them here. But I tend to play them all, like nearly all of them, except for I leave it all the way wet. As I play, different times, during different performances. I mean, I've done practice performance, 1 real performance and like 3 practice performances on this patch. And I'm usually dinking around with those at different times, but you wouldn't necessarily have to. This is what they got left there after the last performance. Okay, but anyway, output of that goes to the Terzi Ruina in the top, out the bottom, so it goes through all 3 distortion channels. Again, I move those around and play them to some degree, but that's where they are at the moment. Okay, the output of that goes right next door. I use the blue cable here because, again, I just ran out of short purple ones. Goes right next door into this carbon filter. And the carbon filter, we come out of its low-pass 12 pole low-pass output. And we are modulating the saturation and the FM. The FM is modulated by, I'm going to let you guess, it's sloths. That's right, it's always sloths. And this time it's the middle output of the fast one is doing that, and then the saturation is being modulated by, oh, it's the bottom So it's one of the mix outputs on the bottom here. Good Lord, you can't even see that. There you go. See, the mix output on the bottom is modulating the saturation. So it overdriving it, basically saturating the signal as it goes into the filter. It tastes yummy. It's a yummy effect. Okay, that is voice 3. Now let's do voice 4. That one actually goes, there's no effects. It goes straight into the mixer from the filter because it is a rich enough sound. It doesn't really need any effects. Finally, final voice. Back to the twin waves. Second side, we got a blue voice coming out. On the second side, we've got the bit crushed saw, so another sawtooth, but a different varietal. In this, we are manipulating the bit depth of it is what we're manipulating, and that's manipulated, hey, by another sloth channel. It's the left channel, so that's the medium speed channel, and it's the middle of the left, so it's the higher voltage output of that. So in other words, it can get pretty crunchy at times, and also super high res at times. The pitch on this one, actually, we are getting our pitch signal from, hey, the sloth. And here we're using the medium channel, the top, medium speed top output, so the 2.5 volt output variation, plus or minus 2.5 volt roughly. And that is going into the quantizer to provide second voice's pitch. So it's always in key, but it can be pretty, the relationship between the two can definitely get pretty out there, even though they're always in key. And it's in the key of D minor, in case you're wondering. Yeah, okay, so output of the twin waves, our bit crushed saw, goes into the WASP filter. Ooh, WASP, using all 3 filters. It gets modulated by this envelope, which is being triggered by, I'll show you what it's triggering in a second. So this envelope does the filter, and also does in classic monosynth, it also does the VCA, because it goes into the same Talon VCA. It's the other side of that VCA. So this envelope is doing both the filter and the VCA for that 4th voice. And that envelope, that's the one we were talking about earlier that was modulated by this other sloth output. It just changes the length over time, so you get longer and shorter envelopes depending on where the sloth is slothing at any given moment. Okay, and that is triggered by a different octopus. So what I did here is I used the individual step gate outs of the O control, every other one, so it triggers every other step. And I combined all those with the splitter, which technically with a lot of gear you're not really supposed to do. You're not supposed to expose outputs to input, right? And so the way that this works is whenever one of these gates fires, the other 3 all get hit by that gate. It goes into this does not distinguish direction. A signal goes in and it just goes all through the wires, and so it's going to go into those gates. But Make Noise Gear specifically says that that's okay. So that's, I wouldn't necessarily recommend. I will say I don't know it's as dangerous as people sometimes make it out to be, but I wouldn't do it myself. I would not take a chance of blowing up a $200, $300, $400 piece of gear because you're pretty sure the gates won't hurt it. But Make Noise explicitly says this is fine, so it's fine. It's fine. Okay, so every other time, so every other time, every other step, this voice is going to trigger. And again, bit crushed saw into WASP filter, controlled by the same envelope that controls its VCA. Okay, and then into the Talon. The Talon, both voices that go through the Talon are set pretty crunchy. They're set to different distortions. The left voice, the first voice, is set to the linear, and this one is set to symmetrical. Okay. And yeah, when that comes out of there, it goes into Ornament Crime, which is running a clockable delay program. B4. There we go. B4, clockable delay. Yep, and that is obviously being clocked by the O controls clock, and then that signal goes into the mixer, and finally our mixer goes into the Desmodus Versio, which is providing some reverb. And yeah, so that's it. That's 4 voices and a trench coat, all controlled by the O control. And this is actually, you can play this patch a lot more than you might think by using the different controls on the thing, like the resets and the different direction. This can be quite wild, and changing the pitch of the thing on long steps gives you step, when it's going through the quantizer, at least gives you kind of stepped things. I guess we can hear a little bit of it. See if I can show you what I'm talking about. So see, it's on this step for a while because it's sustaining. Yeah, if we the O control, we can turn the speed up. Turn this. I'm gonna turn the speed up. Control the lengths of the steps. Control the strengths of the gates and the envelopes with this step. This is obviously your pitches. Quantizer keeps everything in tune, obviously, so we're not all over the place. Change direction here. Stop the clock and let it drone for a while. A lot of different stuff you can do. I should maybe make a video just about the O control at some point. Not that there aren't a million better videos. But, yep, that's pretty much it for this patch. I will leave you with 30 seconds of direct recording of this patch, performance that I did last night. So you can kind of get a better sense of what's going on. And we'll see you in another week. Bye.